Yes. What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 242 of the Kirby on Sports podcast, fresh from our New Year's break and our Christmas episode debacle. I am not your host, Josh Kirby. I am the Swiss Army knife, Carlos Martinez, your three-time Pick'ems champion. Ladies and gentlemen, the NFL season is over. And none of our teams are in the playoffs. What could we possibly talk about? There's plenty to talk about. We had Black Monday. The playoffs are set, obviously. And then we have the NFL regular season awards, finalists or favorites, whatever you want to call them. And then, of course, we have, this podcast's favorite segment from this Good to Average podcast. I said podcast twice, whatever. This intro is a total botch. The Kirby on Sports Pick'em segment. And that all comes up next. Oh, yes, here we go. As you see, Chief making his first appearance on this episode of the Kirby on Sports podcast, episode 242. Before we continue, we'd like to thank our sponsors, the Frederick County Parks and Rec, PM Plus Reserves, Shenandoah Primitives, Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate, the guys who gave us the podcast studio last episode, Barrett Pest and Termite Services, Mark Lynch with Guild Mortgage, Shenandoah Music, Icon Media, On the Road Driving School, New Look Landscaping, The Cider House, Barry Pearson, Equipment Share Advanced Solutions. For any equipment rental needs, please contact Barry Pearson at 540-935-1069. And of course, Don't Sleep Energy is the official energy drink of the Kirby on Sports podcast. Go to their Amazon store and use promo code KOS Podcast for 12% off your order every single time. Without further ado, let me bring on this podcast's favorite number two, the Josh Allen to my Patrick Mahomes, my esteemed co-host. I can finally say it as, the inmates are running the asylum, Dan Dembski.
What's up, Carlos? This feels good to be here with you. Like you said, two inmates running this asylum. This is, I don't know why Kirby made this decision. I really don't. Not very smart on his part.
I don't know why he can't keep his schedule in order and understand that this podcast takes precedent.
Yeah.
These are blocked off, but you know what? It's okay. We'll let it slide this time.
Yeah, he's a busy guy. So it's cool this time.
He's got a lot. He's got a lot. So Dan, how are things? How was your New Year's? How was your Christmas? I know we talked about it a little bit off air, but
Yeah, it was good. A lot of good family time, a lot of good downtime, a lot of relaxation. And a lot of recharging to get into the new year. So glad to be into 2026. It seems crazy to say that. Still getting used to saying what the year is, unfortunately. I think we're all kind of in that boat. But yeah, man, it's good time, good relaxation with family, and a lot of great football along the way, too, that we got to enjoy, both NFL and college as well. So excited to talk about a lot of that with you, Carlos.
Yeah, there's a lot of I actually kind of got footballed out.
Yeah, totally.
Weekend. By the time we got to Sunday Night Football, I was like, dude, I'm tired, but we got a great game to end, the regular season. We'll talk about that more. Obviously, heartbreak for your team.
Yeah. A usual feeling.
Yeah, 2026, a big year coming up. We got the World Cup.
Yeah.
We got obviously the playoffs still in Super Bowl 60. A lot of big things coming up coming up the turnpike. So obviously we're going to just get into it. There is a lot to discuss in terms of Black Monday. It's weird saying Black Monday because I just naturally
you almost want to say Friday, right?
Black Friday.
Yeah.
So a lot of moves were made for Black Monday. Some of the coaches fired. Where Raheem Morris was the first one fired. He got fired before halftime of the Sunday Night Football game.
Right.
So Raheem Morris of the Atlanta Falcons was fired. Kevin Stefanski was fired from the Cleveland Browns. Jonathan Gannon was fired. I believe it was yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. On Monday. Yeah, he was fired from the Arizona Cardinals. Pete Carroll only getting one season. The Raiders they're paying 3 coaches at this. No, 4.
4 coaches.
They're paying Gruden. I think they're still paying
Gruden. Is nuts.
They're paying McDaniels. They're paying Pierce. And now they're paying Pete Carroll, and now they're going to pay a 5th head coach to come in. This organization is an absolute disaster.
It's a dysfunction, to say the least. Yeah.
And obviously, Brian Callahan and Brian Daboll were fired during the season. But the big one that dropped just a few hours ago, John Harbaugh is no longer the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens. And it just came out that Harbaugh lost the locker room, which is not surprising. We said it plenty of times that we felt like he lost the locker room. Obviously, 18 years as the head coach of the Ravens, started in 2008, won them a Super Bowl, went to only 2 AFC championship games, where obviously he won one, lost one to my Kansas City Chiefs. Always got to bring it up.
Yep, every time.
And a lot of success. He brought a lot of success to the franchise, but never really got over the hump except for that 1 year. Dan, obviously, this is your team. This has been your coach for, I want to say, a majority of your life at this point.
Yeah, I was like 10 years old when he became the head coach. Which
so he's been the coach longer than you were alive. You know, if you you
exactly.
Then you didn't have him in your life, is what I meant to say.
Exactly.
So your thoughts, your opinions. Obviously, we're going to talk about the game a little bit later and maybe some decisions made there. But what are your initial thoughts to Harbaugh not being the coach of the Ravens anymore?
Well, this is obviously something I think I've been calling for big, bulk of the season, I think, just because the Ravens simply underperformed this year. They did have a lot of injuries. They did have a lot of issues like that. But there comes a time when, you just kind of lose that touch after a while. It happened with the Patriots and Bill Belichick. It's happened with a lot of other coaches. I mean, he comes to mind most just when you think about recent coaches who had Hall of Fame careers who were fired. And I think John Harbaugh is definitely a Hall of Fame coach. But let's face it, there were several moments when he could have been fired in the last, 8-9 years, especially since they've had Lamar Jackson, where Lamar Jackson, I think, quite frankly, has saved his job. I think also him winning a Super Bowl, having that attached to his name was a big deal and kept, his job secure for quite a long time because, the Ravens could say he's won a Super Bowl. But, I mean, you said it, Carlos. There was too many issues in the postseason, too many heartbreaking losses of various conditions, of various reasons, and various ways they lost those games. Pretty much in all 3 phases they found ways to lose. Playoff games and obviously, as we're going to talk about later on, the final regular season game that knocked them out of the playoffs officially. All that said, though, I have to be grateful for John Harbaugh for what he did for this team. Obviously, in the regular season, he has been one of the most consistent coaches of the last 15 to 20 years in the National Football League. Obviously, I think if you look at he and Mike Tomlin from the Steelers, they kind of compare those 2 coaches. Very similar as far as their styles and kind of just their impact in that division with their respective teams. Obviously grateful for the Super Bowl run. Obviously grateful for his leadership during that and taking over the team at a time when, they weren't necessarily the most powerful defense that they had, grown accustomed to being. I think by the time 2008 rolled around, they were starting to get a little older, that defense was. And then obviously he used up the last of that great defense in that magical Super Bowl run. And of course, Joe Flacco's postseason performance, which I still can't believe that happened. But all that said, I think this was the right decision the Ravens had to make. I tip my hat to them for doing so because I know it's hard, especially when you fire a coach with almost 2 decades of experience who really hasn't had that many down seasons either when you think about, I think he made the playoffs 12 times in his 18 seasons, which is pretty good. Obviously, it's a pretty good clip. And then It's just the recent success, quite frankly, that has escaped the Ravens, and we've talked about these years over and over. 2019, when they were the number one seed, two years ago against the Kansas City Chiefs, when they were again the number one seed and looked like they were the toast of the town in those playoffs, and they just fell flat. A lot of it to me came down to those coaching decisions that just weren't there. So it had to happen. Sometimes you need a change. I think if you look at this season, they finished 8-9. They had a lot of injuries for sure, but there was also just a lot of inconsistencies that to me boiled down to John Harbaugh's decision making and just really not making adjustments, quite frankly, throughout this season, which was the most frustrating thing as a Ravens fan to see this team continue to struggle and really the head coach not step up and take on that role, like embrace it, be the head man. So very difficult decision. Obviously, I think he's going to be, very highly sought after. We're already hearing, rumblings of all the teams that reached out to him. So that doesn't surprise me at all. Anyone with his expertise and all those years of experience, I think he can still be a successful coach in this league for sure. He might have to reinvent himself. He might have to change a little bit, but I think if he can do those things, he'll be fine. But I'm overall grateful for John Harbaugh because he definitely kept the Ravens a relevant team all these years. I mean, they've constantly been, considered one of the best organizations in the National Football League, and that's not taken lightly, and the head coach certainly plays a big role in that. So grateful for that especially.
Yeah, I mean, so this is coming from Ian Rappaport. John Harbaugh reportedly lost the locker room before the Baltimore Ravens announced they fired him Tuesday. Ian Rappaport says, quote, "It is not just that," I can't read. "It is not just they didn't go far enough in the playoffs. My understanding after talking to several sources involved is simply that Harbaugh lost the locker room at the end. Players just simply had doubts about whether or not they wanted to play for him as their head coach." So it seems like ownership really took the opinions of the players in high consideration when they made this decision of whether to keep Harbaugh or not. And from everything that I was reading in that little article there is that it wasn't just Lamar Jackson saying that. It was plenty of players saying, hey, we just don't think he's the guy. And at a certain point, you kind of have to agree.
Yeah.
Because the Ravens have had great teams.
Yep.
And yes, we always bring up, the AFC
2 years ago
game between us, between the Chiefs and the Ravens. That was supposed to be your guys' year. The Chiefs had no business. And that Super Bowl run for us was incredible because we truly had no business winning that. We had no business. I mean, beating the Dolphins was one thing, but we had no business going into Buffalo, beating Buffalo. And then we certainly had no business going into Baltimore and beating you guys the way we did. And that falls on Harbaugh and his weird knack for going away from things that are working. We saw it plenty of times this season with the whole Derrick Henry thing where he's dominating and then for some reason he's yanked out of the game and we never see him again. I can't necessarily put this Pittsburgh loss on him. It was just bad luck.
Yeah.
And also it's just the personnel defensively was not there. You guys couldn't get any pressure on Aaron Rodgers. But you and I have been saying it. We think at this point, he's just been here for too long. And at a certain point, when you've been in a place too long, you get too comfortable.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, your voice starts to carry a little less weight than it used to because you start kind of just going through the motions. Change in coaching is a good thing, I think. I don't think there should be anybody coaching in a place longer than 10 years is normally there are certain exceptions to that rule, right? There's Bill Belichick, right? Bill Belichick was the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
Andy Reid has been exception to the rule. I don't know if you can throw Tomlin and Harbaugh in there because Tomlin.
It's hard. It's hard.
Tomlin hasn't won since 2008, the Super Bowl back then.
Yeah.
They went to the Super Bowl in 2011, against Aaron Rodgers, hilariously, who's his quarterback now.
Yeah.
But since then, what have the Steelers really done? They haven't been
nothing postseason wise.
They haven't been. Yeah, they haven't been that it franchise that they always make themselves out to be.
Right.
And it's the same thing with Harbaugh. Is like Harbaugh, you won that Super Bowl in 2012, but then you went 11 years without even making an AFC Championship appearance.
Yeah.
And you could just tell there was definitely something off between, especially this season, between Lamar and Harbaugh.
Yeah, they got into it on the sideline.
There was something off about them. And then you have obviously the thing with the hit piece article about Lamar and just all this talk. They just needed to separate. Now, this is a risky move for the Ravens, in my opinion, because who do you go get? Do you go get Stefanski? I don't hate the idea, but does Stefanski want to stay in the North or does he want to go do something else? And I think that's the issue. I think that's the problem with this year of, trying to find a head coach, because
there's not a ton of good candidates.
There's no wonder boy out there. There is no Ben Johnson out for people to go get. It's kind of just retreads around the whole league. And it's like the number one candidate for, a lot of teams is freaking Matt Nagy. And Matt Nagy's terrible.
Yeah. He's not a good head coach.
Stefanski's going to be a hot commodity.
Yeah.
Because obviously coach of the year, I don't think Cleveland was his fault. I think he did the best that he could with what he had. And just when they made that Deshaun Watson trade, it just completely derailed everything.
Yeah.
Agreed. Harbaugh, whether, in my opinion, I think he should take a year off and just kind of, like you said, reinvent himself, kind of just take time. My guess is he's probably going to be right back into it.
Oh, yeah.
Does he go to the Giants? I don't know. I think change would be good for Harbaugh, but I don't know if getting right back into it would be a good thing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But, yeah, I mean, a lot of questions are going to be answered, I guess, this offseason as to who's going to be the new coach for the Ravens, who's going to be the new coach for the Falcons, the Browns, the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Titans, and the Giants. But there were also some coordinators that were let go also. Matt Eberflus was, to nobody's surprise, was released as the Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator, given some of Jerry Jones's comments. Not surprising. And also that defense just played atrocious this year. John Morton, the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator, was fired. Cliff Kingsbury and Joe Witt Jr., the offensive and defensive coordinators for the Washington Commanders, were also let go. Kirby was very happy for some reason, as if these guys didn't just take him to an NFC Championship game. And then, of course, general managers, Terry Fontenot, I think is how you say his name, was fired from the Atlanta Falcons. And then Chris Greer was, him and the Dolphins split earlier in the season. So I think the Falcons is going to be the interesting one, because by all accounts they're going to first bring in a president of the team. And it looks like Matt Ryan wants that job. And then Matt Ryan's going to go out and find the general manager and then work with the general manager to find their next head coach. So they've completely restructured their franchise, and I don't necessarily know how it's going to work.
Yeah, that seems odd to me, that just to think Matt Ryan in that position, but he's a smart guy. I could see it working out.
The weird part about that one is he wants that job apparently, but then he wants to keep his CBS TV job.
Yeah, see, that's not how it works.
I don't think you can do that.
No, it's not. It's not a Brady situation where you're like sort of involved with the team and you're not like full time there. It's a situation where Tom Brady makes it work, but. Yeah, that's when you're a team president. That's not how it's.
At least with Matt Ryan, he's going to be in the studio. He's not going to be in the booth, so he's not going to be meeting teams and stuff.
Fair. There's definitely less conflict of interest.
Yeah,
right.
That's crazy. So there's that. I don't know where Cleveland's going to go.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting too.
You kind of had the coach of your dreams. I mean, he got them to the playoffs. He got them their first playoff win. He's a two-time. He won 2 years. He was coach of the year in Cleveland.
Yeah,
and then you're kind of just letting him walk. I don't necessarily know where they go. Arizona is the same thing. Like, who really wants these?
Who wants to coach there? Yeah.
I mean, Jonathan Gannon, I think he will quickly get probably a defensive coordinator job somewhere.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he was a great defensive coordinator, but he could be just one of these coordinators that it's like they're a great coordinator, terrible head coach.
He's a career coordinator.
It's just like Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels, great offensive coordinator, terrible head coach.
Yep. Some guys just aren't meant to do it.
I don't know, Dan, is there anybody that you're surprised isn't on this list? To me, it's Mike McDaniel. I'm surprised he's not on this list.
Yeah.
But is there anybody that you were thinking was going to get fired? There's the Giants GM who they're still keeping for some odd reason.
Yeah, that I don't get either. So those two, I can't think of any other ones right now off the top of my mind, to be honest. And we're still early on in this process. Those firings could still happen. Maybe teams are just evaluating their options right now to see what's available. And like you said, this is not an off season where you have not even just a wonder boy, but you don't even really have, a surefire thing in really any of these, with any of these vacancies necessarily. So, I think it's one reason it'll be kind of hard for the Ravens to bring. I mean, they're not going to have an issue hiring someone because they're kind of already ready to go. They just need a couple more pieces, I think, to get to that next level. But the other thing too is is there someone that could fly under the radar and snag one of these positions? Obviously, I bring up the Ravens because John Harbaugh himself was a special teams coach. When they hired him, nobody knew, no one knows who the special teams coach is in any of these teams. So is there someone like that out there who could slip into one of these positions and make an impact? I don't know, and I doubt it. I think it's a much different era now than it was, when John Harbaugh became coach of the Ravens. But yeah, this is going to be a weird off season. We'll see, where some of these coaches end up. And there's no other coaches right now where I'm like that person should have been fired. Interesting that the Commanders got rid of OC and DC, especially after all of the injuries and stuff they battled this year. Like, there was no one who could have come in and done a good job with those units. Let's be honest. But it's that win now mentality, I think, that has kind of gotten into all of us, right? Like, we all want instant gratification, and obviously they saw, just a season ago in the NFC Championship game where they could be, and that it doesn't meet expectations this year. But those two moves for the Commanders do kind of surprise me a little bit.
I think the defense coordinator didn't necessarily surprise me because at some point Dan Quinn took over play calling duties. Because
he didn't, and he seemed kind of lost.
Yeah,
for sure.
And Dan Quinn, we know how great of a defensive coordinator he was in Dallas.
Yeah,
and then for some reason gave it up in Washington. I guess because he just kind of wanted to kind of oversee the whole team and realized he couldn't.
Right.
He needed to focus on the defense. Not that the defense really improved all that much, but
yeah,
that's mostly a personnel issue. I think I guess it's just like, what type of coach do you want in today's day and age in the NFL? Do you want a defensive-minded head coach or do you want an offensive-minded head coach? I think for the Ravens, I think that they're going to want an offensive-minded head coach who's going to be able to work closely with Lamar and kind of get a feel of what Lamar likes and develop an offense around Lamar. And I don't necessarily know how much you can build around Derrick Henry, considering he's going to be 33, and he's going to eventually fall off a cliff.
A year or two, maybe 2 years max.
He might have one more year in him. I don't know. He's a freak, so it's just like,
he's. He just keeps.
I mean,
going.
I thought he was done like 2 seasons ago, and then he's just been doing monster season after monster season. But gosh, you got to think the Ravens are kind of kicking themselves by letting what's his name, the head coach of Seattle,
Mike McDonald was
letting Mike McDonald go.
The greatest mistake they've made in the last.
Because now he's sitting there comfortably, 1 seed in Seattle. He's got. Look, is the Seattle offense necessarily that scary? When you got Sam Darnold, you just never know, right?
Right.
Sometimes he could show up as an elite quarterback, or he could show up in pumpkin mode. You just never know, right?
Very true.
But that Seattle defense is really good. And you got to think they made a mistake by letting him walk out the building. And you had your next head coach right there. He should have been the next head coach.
Yeah. And they're probably saying the same thing for sure.
Yeah, and they let him go. They decided to stick with Harbaugh. And now they're in a position where it's like, where do we go now? I don't know. I kind of like the Stefanski idea. I'm not going to lie to you. I just wonder how much he could really work with Lamar. Like, would him and Lamar vibe?
Yeah, it's a good point.
So it's like I don't know where anybody's gonna go. There's no guarantee. I thought before Harbaugh got fired, I was like Stefanski's gonna become the next head coach of the Giants. It's gonna be great. I think him and Jackson Dart and Scatterboo would work fantastic
combo
together.
Yeah.
And the wide receiver, I can't remember his name right now. Malik Neighbors.
Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, Malik Neighbors. I think they would work great together, but yeah, I guess any final thoughts on these coaches, Dan, before we head to break?
Well, I kind of think the other way for the Ravens. I kind of think they might want to go defensive coordinator just because get someone who's a current defensive coordinator, just because their defense
from us.
Yeah, and
don't sort of steal Spags from us.
No, not
bastards.
No, Spags. I don't think we.
I don't think Spags is a great head coach. I think he's just a great defensive.
No, he was a head coach at one time. It did not go great.
St. Louis Rams.
Yeah, it did not go well. But yeah, I kind of think the Ravens might do defensive coordinator just because, first of all, the defense is. I mean, they got to get the defense back on track, and I think that's kind of, to me, that has to be the biggest priority this offseason is to somehow fix this defense. I think Zach Orr is going to be out, so that'll be the defensive coordinator for the Ravens. He's a good guy, but he just doesn't.
Terrible.
He just doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. It's as simple as that.
Terrible.
Great, good player. He was a good player, but sometimes it's just not meant to work. And you're just taking that step into that type of role is not for everyone. And he has shown he was, definitely above his head as far as that job is concerned. So. I could see them doing that just to kind of rebuild this defense and kind of bring it back to the old school Ravens where they were defense first, because I think the offense is pretty close. I think you definitely, the number one priority has to be offensive line for sure.
Oh yeah. Offensive and your lines.
Yes.
Both of them. Dude, and we're going to talk about this.
We're going to talk about this game because it was the same old. It was the same old stuff, really, that we've seen all season.
The way you guys couldn't get any pressure on Aaron Rodgers was despicable.
Yeah, none, absolutely none. But yeah, I kind of think they'll go that way for that because I think the offense is in pretty good shape. Now it depends on what happens with Todd Monken. That'll be interesting. Like if he ends up going to one of these new vacancies as a head coach, I don't know. Maybe he ends up with the Raiders. Who knows?
What if the Ravens just promote him?
I'm not sure I'd like the move, but
like the idea. But...
yeah, which wouldn't surprise me though. That could be something they would do, but we'll see. It's really all going to depend on what they decide to do with the coordinators. I think they currently have. And it's going to kind of see what direction they want to go, and they're also going to have some input too. Whoever's in those positions, and obviously. I think Lamar Jackson will have a pretty good say on who the coach is, and I think
he's
obviously
a franchise guy, like he should definitely.
He should, right? The quarterback should always have a say.
Not always, but
franchise quarterback, yes, maybe not quarterback.
Their opinion should be taken into account.
Right. It shouldn't be the only opinion, but it should be part of the opinions.
Yeah,
for sure. And we've seen a lot of players left out of that process, and thus issues form. But the very long-winded response, but it's kind of interesting for the Ravens because there's a lot of rumors surrounding if the offensive coordinator Todd Monken will end up one of these positions. Obviously, a lot of fans think the defensive coordinator Zach Orr will be gone. That's the thought, I think, pretty consistently. So a lot of moving pieces, I think, for the Ravens before they kind of get their ducks in a row. But they're also going to have to hurry, right? Like some of these bigger name coaches are not going to be around.
Well, luckily they didn't
long.
Mess around for too long.
Right, they did it.
That was the question we had yesterday of like, okay, what time do you think we get the Harbaugh news? And then we didn't get the Harbaugh news yesterday.
Yeah,
and
I'm starting to get nervous.
I really thought, I was like, oh man, we're not who knows when we're going to get this news. And then obviously
if ever,
today. So
yeah.
they took a little longer, but it wasn't like they took weeks to make this decision. They made it in a timely manner. Now they can get started with their head coach search. They can go interview some guys, go figure out who, first they got to figure out what the vision for the franchise going forward is.
Yeah, that's the number one thing.
It's been Harbaugh for all these years. So, and then, you got to talk to Lamar, see what he's thinking. Then you got to just kind of make a decision from there as to who would fit best, going forward for this team. So, yeah, with that, we're going to take our first break of the show. And when we come back, we will go ahead and discuss the epic thriller between the Steelers and the Ravens. We'll be right back.
For sports fans living in condominium and homeowners associations, as well as business professionals, when you need a reserve study, PM Plus Reserves has been in business since 1990. Their studies are accurate and easy to understand. Check them out when your association needs a study. www.pmplusreserves.com. You can also contact them at 703-803-8436. Once again, www.pmplusreserves.com. Is it finally time to upgrade your home's interior? How about with an authentic farm table made locally from recycled barnwood? Shenandoah Primitives, based right here in Winchester, Virginia, makes farm tables, benches, tables, coffee tables, and a long list of other items for your home decorating needs. At Shenandoah Primitives, function and style are combined for great furniture that will last generations. If you're interested in combining the industrial look of metal with wood, or considering something incredibly unique with a live edge, Shenandoah Primitives turns those ideas into reality. Thinking about a mirror, wine rack, or other accent piece for your home, Shenandoah Primitives can assist with that as well. As a local small business, Shenandoah Primitives is happy to work with each client for a custom design or schedule an appointment to come out and view current inventory. Local, high-quality, handmade items can be found at Shenandoah Primitives. Find us on Facebook and Instagram or visit us at www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Once again, that's www.shenandoahprimitives.com.
All right, and welcome back to episode 242 of the Kirby on Sports podcast. I, of course, am one of two, your first esteemed co-host, Carlos Martinez, and I'm joined by my other esteemed co-host, Dan Dembski. All right, Dan, we got to talk about it. The heartbreaking loss to end the 2025 NFL regular season. Steelers 26, Ravens 24, losing on a heartbreaking field goal miss in what I guess you could say was one of the greatest announcers' curses that you'll ever see. When Mike Tirico sitting there talking about how they scoured the country for Tyler Loop, and they picked him because, they believed he was the guy for moments like this, to kick them into the playoffs.
Moments like
goes wide right. Dan, your thoughts on this epic game that started off a little slow, honestly. Then I was just like, man, like Lamar's not looking great. And then in the second half, the fourth quarter more specifically, blew open, and it became just a classic, game to go in the long list of great Steelers-Ravens games.
Yeah, this to me kind of started out like you said, a classic Ravens and Steelers game that was very defensive heavy, right? Like there weren't a lot of points, there weren't a lot of first downs. Both teams, especially in the first half, kind of struggled. And it kind of seemed like it was going to be that type of game, really, from my vantage point in the first half, and the Ravens are up 10-3 at halftime. I thought the Ravens defense played really well in the first half. Obviously, I would say the same for Pittsburgh's defense for the most part, minus a couple plays. Obviously, the big play in the first half for the Ravens defense is getting that stop to towards the end of the first half where the Steelers were going for it instead of taking the points. So instead of, the game being 10-6 at that point, it stays at 10-3. And obviously the Steelers get the second half kickoff and the offense, picks back up after that for both teams. But a lot of the issues in this game, again, are just things that we've seen throughout the season, especially defensively. You mentioned it. No pressure on Aaron Rodgers the entire game. He had so much time to throw. He ended up completing 31 passes, which is just absurd. And just, I would say 85% of that is because of all the time he had to throw. Obviously, the Ravens secondary was not very good in this game either, especially in the second half. They just couldn't get a stop, especially on third down. It felt like Pittsburgh was converting on every big third down conversion, especially throwing towards Marlon Humphrey, which again
also didn't help that Kyle Hamilton got hurt. So
yeah, I was going to mention that. I think obviously that was kind of the turning point for me in this game as far as
I agree.
As far as how Pittsburgh was finally able to start to really motor down the field when Kyle Hamilton collides with Alani Gilman, and both of them seem like they're out of the game. Obviously Gilman comes back, but it goes to show you how crucial Kyle Hamilton is to this defense, because without him they basically fell apart. Like there was no communication. Guys were wide open. Obviously, the blitz pressure was never there, but Kyle Hamilton gives you that little extra, rush that he can do. He can be a speed rusher for sure when you need him to be and step in that position. So none of that was there when he was out of the game, and like you said, the Aaron Rodgers really found his rhythm and his groove at that point, and I have to tip my hat to him because he just spread the ball around. I mean, it was crazy. Gainwell was, Kenneth Gainwell was amazing in this game for Pittsburgh. We just couldn't stop him. It seemed like he had every big conversion in this second half, especially. But defensively, it's just been more of the same things. Outside of a couple of weeks where we've credited the Ravens' defensive pass rush, it just wasn't there once again, and it was non-existent, quite frankly. Not even as much of a, the Rodgers didn't even have his attention pulled away, necessarily. So just way too easy. You can't let someone like with Aaron Rodgers' experience, obviously we know what he's done throughout his career, have that much time to throw. It's just not going to end well. So that's basically it for the defense. I think, like we said, losing Kyle Hamilton was kind of the turning point for the Steelers' offense to get it moving, to get it going, and to really get into a rhythm. They certainly did after that. And offensively on the flip side of that, you mentioned at the top, the offense was kind of definitely struggled to start this game. Not just Lamar, but just the team in general just kind of looked again like they were stuck in quicksand. I have to give them credit for how they adjusted in the second half, and we saw one of the most exciting fourth quarters, obviously, that was just back and forth those last couple of drives for both these teams, where Lamar stepped up, quite frankly, with a couple of really big completions. Obviously, one
MVP Lamar came out for sure.
He did. He certainly did. One to Zay Flowers, I believe, and then the other one was to hold on.
Zay Flowers.
That's right. Both of them were Zay Flowers. You're right.
On basically the same type of play.
Right. Which was, that one throw was insane. On fourth down. Nonetheless. So, that was the throw that eventually got the Ravens in field goal position. And then obviously, as we said,
no, the one that got them into field goal position, that one was to Likely.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
That was to Likely, and that was like his redemption, because he had he had the drop on Thanksgiving and all this stuff, and he had the one in Thanksgiving, he had the one in the first Steelers game where he had it, and then
did he have it? Did he not? Yeah.
This is supposed to be his redemption story, and then of course Tyler Luke decides to miss the kick.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that a little bit too, because you get down there in that position, it's a 44-yard kick. I'm not a fan of the Ravens coming out and taking a knee immediately. I kind of wish, because they still had one timeout.
I've heard this take also.
Yeah, you have Derrick Henry yes, he's had some fumble issues this year at times, for sure. But I think you try to just run forward and pick up 3 or 4 more yards if you can. Make it a little bit of an easier kick.
I think it's more so, in today's NFL, like
you kind of just trust kickers to make
a
anything.
44-yard field goal is nothing to these guys.
It should be, yeah.
They trusted Tyler to make it. He's a rookie kicker. The moment just got too big for him. I guarantee you he learns from this. I guarantee you he'll be much better going forward.
Agreed.
But, I think you just saw Boswell miss an extra point for the first
never
time
misses
in forever. I don't even remember the last time he missed one.
I can't remember.
I don't think he missed one all season.
Right.
And he misses that. To me, I agree. I think you guys could have gotten a couple more yards, just get as close as possible. And yeah, it was just kind of, I won't say again, it wasn't necessarily a bad coaching move. I don't hate the decision, but I would have gone with the get a couple more yards, then call your timeout, then send your kicking unit out, get a little bit closer for him, and hopefully he can handle the moment and the pressure and he makes it. But
this is one of those hindsight is 20/20 things, right? Like obviously if they make the kick, no one's even talking about it. So, and we're
talking about Mike Tomlin getting fired instead of John Harbaugh.
Which is another issue. But anyway, yeah, I kind of agree with that. I don't think you can completely blame the coaching staff on that. And like you said, like it's 44 yards. You got to make that. You got to make that in college. I mean, there's no question about it. If you're going to play at the next level anyway. So, yeah, it was a super frustrating way for them to lose. I'll say personally, like I really was not that upset because, quite frankly, I'm used to these types of things happening in the playoffs. We saw, I mean, there's compilations on social media of all the crushing playoff and last week losses to knock them out of the playoffs in the last decade. So saw a lot of that and was like, it's not the worst one they've had necessarily because a lot of people compared it to Billy Cundiff, but you got to think that was in the AFC title game and that's a little bit, larger stakes than just making the postseason. So this game kind of encapsulated, and obviously we saw the conclusion of John Harbaugh's tenure where they just didn't do enough, quite frankly, and they just couldn't get over the hump in this game. And to me, there's just a lot of things that they need to fix. I think most importantly defense, but that picture I sent you all of the offensive line is also like that's a big problem, and that's a big reason why Lamar had his struggles and injuries this year, quite frankly, that he had, because he's running for his life. He doesn't have time to throw, and there's just no pocket, quite frankly, a lot of times for him to throw. So that's another issue they got to address in the offseason, which is just terrible.
It's hard. I mean, I don't know. It's difficult for me to give Lamar a pass because of that, because it's like, hey, like Mahomes had to deal with that all last season, and we still made it to the Super Bowl. We still won 15 games.
Yeah, but you guys had a good defense, though.
That's true. You do have that.
We have one of the worst.
Have that.
Yeah.
But
I think that helps.
We saw. Look, at the end of the day, this loss isn't on Lamar whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Lamar put the team on his back and willed them into that position. I mean, my God, just that play where he just escaped the few guys.
It was an old school Lamar play. It's what we saw last year.
It like steps through them and like gets away from them and then throws it deep to Zay Flowers and like directed him to go. He was like, "Go!" and then threw it. It was, I mean, that is the special talent of Lamar Jackson that everybody loves and that we wish we could see more of.
Yeah, this year especially.
I feel like he has really stopped himself from doing that stuff. But that's the Lamar Jackson that like everybody's like, dude, yes, like this is a guy who, look at me, Chris Collinsworth. By the way,
here's a guy.
Speaking of Chris Collinsworth, he was insufferable.
He was pretty. I just so obnoxious.
He was the Steelers were driving down the field, down 10-0, and he was acting like the way he was talking about like, Aaron Rodgers and
Oh, he
like
loves
the way,
Rodgers.
the process that they've been doing and stuff like that, and how it's working and stuff like that. He was acting as if like the Steelers were dominating the game and up by 35. I was like, bro, they're down 10-0. What are you talking about? It's working. What's working? And then of course, ultimately they ended up winning the game. But like Chris Collinsworth was insufferable in this game.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would say that most of the time. I would agree with that. But,
He was
too much.
terrible,
He's way too much.
But yeah, but back to the Lamar Jackson point. Like when you see him do that special stuff, you're like, yeah, this is the guy who can, if he can translate regular season Lamar into postseason Lamar, he can win the whole damn thing.
Oh, absolutely.
But obviously, it's not going to happen this year. And we already talked at length about Harbaugh and all that stuff. But look, it was an epic game. It was a great way to close out the season. And now we obviously have the postseason.
Oh, it's going to be exciting.
I think the Texans are maybe happier that it's Aaron Rodgers instead of Lamar Jackson.
I'd agree with that.
But
even though they beat us by 34 points, but let's
true. But look,
it was a long time
is ago. He's unpredictable.
He's game plan against him is really
and
hard.
Rodgers, if you can get hits on him, you're gonna beat him. He doesn't like to get hit, and that was the issue with this game. You guys couldn't get any pressure on Rodgers. And like you said, Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks, in NFL history. So like, if you give him time, yeah, he's going to pick you guys apart. And that final touchdown, where your defensive back slipped, unfortunately, like that was a good read by him, because like, that was quick. Like he didn't take much. He didn't take much time. He saw the guy fell and the ball was immediately out. Like Rodgers is just great at that. And even at his old age.
Smart. Yeah.
So
I will say he did dump the ball off a lot, which was also frustrating to see.
But I mean,
the run after the catch is what killed me most in this game. Like I'm like,
but they also don't have like they're missing, what's his name, James Washington, I think is his name. Their tight end.
Yeah,
tight end. They're missing
300-pound tight end.
DK was suspended.
DK,
yeah. You're working with MVS and Adam Thielen as your top guy.
Adam Thielen, who's going to retire, and they cleaned him off waivers. Like, what?
Yeah.
That's something that only Mike Tomlin would do.
Only Mike Tomlin.
It's crazy. But,
yeah, look, heartbreaking loss.
Yeah.
Would it have been fun to have one of our teams in the playoffs? Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
But, we're going into this playoffs and we can just sit back, relax, and just enjoy the show.
It's kind of nice in that way, right? It's kind of nice not to be stressed.
I don't know who to root for, so I'm just going to watch. Yeah. I'm just going to enjoy, and, I'm
going to root for my pick'ems to be right, even though it doesn't matter this week, but we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. So, any closing thoughts, Dan?
Yeah, just a very frustrating season for the Ravens. Very tough. Obviously, we talked about the recent news today, firing John Harbaugh. So a lot of work in this offseason for this team, and kind of excited to see, what decisions they make, because I think it's not going to be easy to put this team, especially defensively, back on the map next year. But we'll see. The NFL is weird, and this year has proven that the NFL is kind of a strange league, and definitely a week-to-week league. So. And I think we could see the playoffs kind of playing out in a similar fashion.
Somebody compared this season a lot to the 2008 NFL season, the year after, Brady, went undefeated, and then the Giants beat them. And I was trying to think of that season and like what happened. From what I can remember, I'm almost positive the one seed in the AFC that year was Tennessee, and they went 13-3. And then that was the year that I believe Tucker won them the game at the end in the divisional round. I think.
Wait, 2008.
2008. Let me double check.
The Ravens?
I don't know if I'm remembering that correctly.
I think if that's the Ravens, I think it was Hauschka. No, not Hauschka. It was before him. Who was their kicker before him?
The 2008 playoffs.
Yeah, that's probably the easiest.
Yeah, no, I'm correct. Oh, yeah. So this season was weird. Miami won the division 11-5.
Okay.
They beat out
South.
they beat out the New England Patriots, who also went 11-5 without Brady, but they beat them on the conference record.
Oh,
Miami
gosh.
went 8-4. New England went 7-5. I think that was Chad Pennington as their quarterback that year.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
The Giants won the East, the
Not
NFC
surprising.
East. Pittsburgh won the North. Minnesota won the NFC North. Yeah, Tennessee beat out Indianapolis for the AFC South. The Panthers won the NFC South, and then the San Diego Chargers at 8-8 won the AFC West, and then the Cardinals won the NFC West. This was the year that the Cardinals and the Steelers played in the Super Bowl.
They went all the way, both of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and yes, I'm correct. Baltimore beat Miami 27-9 that year. Then they went and beat Tennessee 13-10.
That's the year they played the Steelers in the AFC title game. Yep.
Yeah, and then they lose to the Steelers. And then obviously Arizona went on their improbable run.
No one
to the
expected
Super
it.
Bowl and almost won the damn thing had Santonio Holmes not had, something
Had
else.
Kurt
to
Warner
say.
not thrown a pick six, obviously I think it was looking pretty good.
Yeah, that too. And also Detroit went 0-16 that year.
That was the Dan Orslowski led Lions, huh?
I'm trying to see if I can get that game more specifically.
It was Ravens Titans, right?
Yeah. I can't pull that game up. Oh, wait, hold on. I got it. So that one ended with
That was Matt Stover. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, Matt Stover, 43-yard field goal. Ha, hilarious.
Legend.
1 yard shorter than Tyler Luke.
and Matt Stover was like,
But yeah,
40, was like 45 at that point.
Yeah, a lot of people are comparing it to that NFL
Playoff
season.
Yeah, that's kind of a wacky season.
That was a wacky season. The playoffs made no sense. I mean, Philly just goes in and completely blasts the Giants. They go to the conference championship, and then they completely stink it up. I remember that game was, even though it says 32-25, I remember that game just being terrible.
It seemed like it was worse, yeah.
And then the Chargers beating the Colts the Chargers 8-8, the Colts 12-4, beating them 23-17.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was that was a wacky season. So this season,
this kind of paces up with that.
Has some callings of that, because it's like, who's gonna freaking win this thing? Like, there is no dominant team. There was no dominant team in that playoff. In that playoffs, because obviously you didn't have the Patriots. You didn't have.
This is similar, right?
Yeah,
no Chiefs.
You didn't have the Patriots. There's no Chiefs. There's no Ravens. There's no I mean, I don't know how much you can put the Bengals in, considering they win forever.
three games a year. Yeah.
So yeah, but all right, we're gonna take another break, and when we come back, we will talk quickly about the favorites for some of the NFL season regular, the awards, MVP and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Hey there, Kirby on Sports Podcast fans. Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate here for you. Remember, if you have any real estate needs, buying or selling, I'm your guy. I would love to help you out. And you can also find me on my own personal podcast, Iconic Talk, where you get a chance to learn about the local real estate market and why Winchester is an amazing place to live. Reach out to me anytime, 540-247-1527, and find Iconic Talk anywhere you get your podcasts.
You may have heard the saying, it's not if your home will get termites, it's when. At Barrett Pest and Termite Services, we're doing our best to refute that saying one home at a time. Our thorough inspections and treatments are designed to keep your home or business termite-free. Termites cause $5 billion in damages every year. A preemptive inspection is one of the best ways to keep that from happening to you. Because once you see evidence of termites with the naked eye, you can be sure they've already been at work for some time. Put a stop to termites and the damage they do by calling Barrett Pest and Termite Services, 540-340-3922. Barrett Pest and Termite Services, 540-340-3922. 340-3922.
All right, and welcome back to episode 242 of the Kirby on Sports podcast. I am Carlos Martinez. That is Dan Dembski. Josh Kirby is not here because he is a stooge and has scheduling conflicts, but it's okay. It's fine. Whatever. We'll power through. We'll run the show.
Whatever. Never mind.
So real quick, we're going to go through predicting who we think are going to win, some of the NFL, awards. We'll go ahead and just start with the big ones. Dan, Coach of the Year. There are plenty of nominees. The favorite is Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
But you can also throw in Liam Cohen. You can throw in Ben Johnson. I'm trying to think. Who's another head coach you could throw in there? Who did? Those are the big three that I can think of right now. I don't know if there's anybody else that I can think of.
You could put Mike McDonald in there. Yeah.
McDonald in Seattle. You can throw him in there.
Oof,
in your opinion, who do you think is more deserving of this award? And who do you pick?
Wait, what was the second part? Who is more deserving?
Who do you think is the most deserving, and who would you pick? Basically, I guess it's one and the same.
One and the same. I really think Vrabel is the choice. Now here's a guy. I mean, he kind of got run out of Tennessee, right? I think kind of treated unfairly in a way.
I agree.
And was just looking to rebuild his career, and I think he's done a heck of a job. I mean, the Patriots were on no one's radar this year at all. No one was talking about them in the preseason, so I think some of these other coaches
talking about them, but like more so in the sense of like we think they're going to improve
They should be better, right?
They should be better. They might be a playoff team with how easy their schedule was. I don't think anybody expected them
to go on the run like they have.
Be where they're at, yeah.
Right. So I think that's why he's my Coach of the Year, and it's just I think a team is always a reflection of their coach, and to me, like when I think of the Patriot way, he kind of fits that really well, right? Like the throwback Belichick, do your job, kind of bring your lunch pail to work type of guy. Vrabel is that. And the Patriots kind of have taken that and run with that this year, and they've kind of taken that attitude. So I think it's Mike Vrabel, but there's so many cases to be made, I think, for any of these coaches. I think especially like what Ben Johnson has done has been incredible as well. But Vrabel's my pick, but what about you, Carlos? What's yours? It's really tough.
It's really hard to pick just because I do think Vrabel will probably most likely be Coach of the Year. I think they're going to give it to him just because of how atrocious that team looked last year.
Right.
And then how much they turned around. But I think you can make the same case for Liam Cohen. I mean, look at what he's done. He's turned that Jacksonville franchise around, and yet nobody's really giving him the credit the way they're giving it like Ben Johnson, giving him the credit in Chicago. And it's really weird. And I guess maybe it's because Chicago, it's the third biggest market in the country. He's just getting more exposure out there in Chicago than in Jacksonville, Florida.
That's fair.
But they've been going through coaches like crazy. I don't think I've ever seen the Jaguars playing as good as they are now. And you saw what happened to Tampa. Tampa has really struggled without Liam Cohen. But you could then make the case, look at what happened with Detroit and Ben Johnson going to Chicago. Detroit's offense has not looked the same since Ben Johnson left. And you see what, the cardiac Bears are doing over in, Chicago. They got the 2 seed. I think you have to throw Mike McDonald just because that what he's doing in Seattle is really is great. He's bringing them back. But I think Vrabel is most likely going to be Coach of the Year, and I'm not going to be mad if they give it to him. But if they gave it to one of the other guys, I would.
Fine with it too. Right.
I wouldn't be upset either. So
totally agree.
All right, next one. MVP.
This is hard.
This one's tough. You got a couple candidates. But the 2 prevailing ones are Matthew Stafford and Drake May. God, I hate that. That's so dumb.
Dumb nickname, yeah.
Drake May. Dan, who do you think gets the nod? Do they give it to the young buck or do they give it to the old bull?
I was gonna say that you took my cliche.
Then are you going to grab him by the weenus?
Oh man, this is hard. Gosh, I'm gonna have to go with Drake May. I think in this situation. And Matt Stafford's won an MVP, at least one, right?
No, he's never won MVP.
No, he's never won an MVP. See, that could be another reason why people vote for him or why they vote for him.
It might be just to pad his record so he went to the Hall of Fame.
So maybe
that's what I've heard.
See Stafford get chosen for that reason. But I just think you can't ignore the way Drake May's played this season and played against really, like, when they've played good competition as well. Because I know they've had an easy schedule, like you said. But he's just done a lot of special things. To me, the thing that's most impressive is he just doesn't get phased, which I think is when you think of MVPs, like you think of that guy who's he's locked in all the time. And to me, that's been Drake May this season. Like he hasn't, even when he's made a mistake, like he hasn't let it like affect his play. He hasn't let it like affect him, his what's the word? Sheesh, my brain is like mush today. Like his psyche, it hasn't gotten to him. I think that's a huge quality of someone who's an MVP, and I think I've seen that for him. I will say the one thing against Stafford is he's kind of like he was the surefire pick for a good portion of the season, but I think he stumbled a little bit in the later part of the season, and I think that's hurt his candidacy a little bit. While I think Drake May has continued on the upward climb, quite frankly, to the MVP. So I'm going to say Drake May if I pick between those two guys.
So
so hard, man.
I'm looking at
so
the
hard.
stats compared to them.
Okay. It's good.
Matthew Stafford threw for more yards. He threw for 4,707 yards, which is nothing to sneeze at.
That's a lot.
But Drake May threw for 4,394. So they're only off by, give or take, 300 yards. Obviously, Drake May rushed more than Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford doesn't run. Matthew Stafford had 46 total TDs compared to Drake May's 35. Both of them had 11 total turnovers. Drake May had a better passing yards per attempt number, 8.9 versus Matthew Stafford, 7.9. Drake May had a better completion percentage at 72% versus Matthew Stafford, 65%. Drake May's passer rating this season was 113.5. Matthew Stafford's was 109.2. And obviously Drake May went 14-3. Matthew Stafford went 12-5. But I think this one's a little, this thing is a little confusing because this isn't updated with the Baltimore-Pittsburgh result. But Matthew Stafford went 4, and he's either going to go 4-4 versus playoff teams or 5-4. I don't know which playoff team. Did the Rams played the Ravens, right? This season? Yes, they did.
Yes.
They didn't play the Steelers, correct?
I don't believe so. I can check real quick.
I don't think they did. So I think Matthew Stafford went 4-4 versus playoff teams. And
yes,
Drake May went 1-2 versus playoff teams. So to me,
Stafford's the pick then.
I think they're going to give it to Matthew Stafford just because it's more of a legacy thing. Drake May is going to have plenty of years to win it again. Matthew Stafford only has 2 more. I don't even know if he has 2 more seasons in him.
No, I don't think so.
But he's got only a finite amount of time left. So I think I'm going to go with Matthew Stafford is going to win it. But if they do give it to Drake May, it is much deserved.
It's really hard to pick between those two guys.
Yeah. Defensive player of the year. I think it's a consensus. Myles Garrett is probably going to win it.
Yeah, agreed.
Just because breaking that record and Cincinnati whining and bitching about it. them
Joe Burrow
stopping the
did kind of
game.
fall down. So
Sure, but they were
He pulled
whining
a-
and
he pulled
bitching
a
about
Brett
the
Favre.
fact
No, I'm just kidding.
that they were stopping the game
yeah, yeah, I
to
saw
let him
that.
celebrate. And it's like, guys, like,
It's
what's
NFL
the big
history.
deal? Zach, there's a coach. There's a coach that I'm surprised isn't fired. Zach Taylor. Why is Zach
Yeah.
Taylor still with? Why is he still employed?
Yeah,
Get that man out.
Yeah, that's a good point. I
But the the Bengals owners are cheap, so they're not gonna want to
They're-
fire him and keep paying him while they pay another head coach. I
Like
mean, they
the
kept
Raiders.
what was his name, Mike Lewis. They kept him for like a decade, and he never made he never had a
Marvin
playoff
Lewis.
victory.
Yeah, that's true. He never won a play. Well, he never won a playoff game. That's
No, like he made the playoffs, but he never got it. So so we're in consensus. Defensive player of the year
yeah.
will be Myles Garrett. Offensive player of the year. A lot of people are saying Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Mm-hmm. I like that too. I think you could also give it to Puka Nacua as well. He had a fantastic year.
I don't know if you could give it to Puka over Jackson, just because Jackson's got the numbers. Nakua's got the flash, but
yeah,
Jackson Smith and Jigba has the numbers.
you may be right that he's like the consensus pick. Quite frankly, it's just hard this year because there really was some
there was
bad
no
offensive
standout
performances.
guy. There was no there was no Mahomes, Allen, Lamar. There was
Right.
there was no McCaffrey having a monster
Right.
or Saquon having a monster season.
We thought it could have been Cam Scatterbo, and maybe it could have been if he had stayed healthy. But
he might have won Rookie of the Year.
yeah, it's true. It's hard to win Offensive Player of the Year. You got to be.
I mean, Rookie of the Year. Everybody's saying it's McMillan from Carolina, the wide receiver.
Yeah.
They're saying that's the Offensive Rookie of the Year, and Defensive Rookie of the Year is Carson I can't say his name. Schweizinger from the Browns.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know much about.
I don't really. I couldn't tell you who's going to be the rookie,
Defensive Rookie of the Year.
the Defensive Rookie of the Year.
You could see, just Abdul Carter from the Giants had a pretty good season. It's pretty.
I don't know. After getting benched though
yeah, that's true.
It wasn't for that, but that was just thrown out there. It was. They showed the clip on Hard Knocks as to why he got
the incident,
why he got benched. But I think that hurts his case right there. So
yeah, that's true.
I don't know. Well,
Maybe
we went
guy
through it
named-
really quick, so I don't. There's no other. I mean, unless you want to talk executive of the year, but I don't give a about executive of the year.
I never even know who wins that, to be honest. I never even pay attention. Oh, what about? Oh, we already did that.
Just give it a freaking Howie Roseman, whatever the Eagles GM
Yeah,
leases everybody he comes into contact with. So
it's amazing how he keeps getting away with this for real.
yeah. So, all right. Well, we're going to take our final break. And when we come back, we will go over the playoff matchups as well as this podcast's favorite segment, the Kirby on Sports PickEms. We will be right back.
The Cider House is now open on East Piccadilly Street in downtown Winchester. The Cider House is open starting at noon Wednesday to Sunday. Stop in for a wide variety of ciders on draft, as well as 4 Virginia beers, wine, and ready-to-drink canned cocktails. Don't miss our lunch specials featuring our house salad. We also have dinner specials too. Stop in today at the Cider House, located on Piccadilly Street in downtown Winchester.
Are you looking to take the final steps in order to get your driver's license? Look no further. On the Road Driving School offers teen and adult driving, along with classroom sessions for teens and adults, DMV re-exam classes, and driver improvement classes. On the Road Driving School has what you need in order to get on the road. Contact them today at 540-869-6105. That's On the Road Driving School. 540-869-6105. On the Road Driving School will get you on the road.
It's Jason, General Manager at Shenandoah Music, here to tell you all about...
Jay, what are you doing here?
Well, Matt, I'm trying to tell the people about our selection of guitars, basses, keyboards, drum sets.
I know that, but I always do the radio spots.
You get to have all the fun. I want to tell everyone about our huge selection, unbeatable prices, unmatched service, and in-depth knowledge.
Jay, I really don't think now is the time to discuss.
So remember, folks, when you think music, think Shenandoah Music in Winchester.
That's my line.
All right, here we go. This, the America's favorite segment from this Good to Average podcast, the Pick'ems. But before we get into the Pick'ems, we must go over the playoff bracket because it is official. We are in playoff season, Dan. Finally,
Yes.
We only have a few weeks left of football, and then we go back into the dark ages. This season's flown by, but at the same time has felt like it's taken forever. It's really weird.
A little of both, yeah. For sure.
So as you can see here from what we have up, we have a graphic showing the playoff bracket. The number 1 seeds, Denver and Seattle, are on a bye week. They will await the lowest seed coming out of wild card weekend. But the matchups coming up for you guys, starting off on Saturday, you have the Rams versus the Panthers. Then Saturday night, on Amazon, you will have Green Bay against Chicago. Then Sunday, we'll have 3 games. We'll start with Buffalo, Jacksonville, then followed by San Francisco, Philadelphia. And then Sunday night football will be the Los Angeles Chargers going to Foxborough to take on the New England Patriots. And then Monday night, which I still don't understand why we do a Monday night football game. It's really dumb.
I don't get it.
They should just have 3 games on Saturday, 3 games on Sunday. It really screws the teams that have to play on the Monday, you know, then they got to go on a short week. But anyways, you got the Houston Texans going to Pittsburgh to take on Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Dan, what is your most anticipated matchup in the wild card, and what a lot of people say is the best weekend of football and during the playoffs is wild card weekend? What is the game that you gravitate to as you thinking it's going to be the biggest game of the weekend?
Well, I'm looking at both sides here, and I'm looking at both 3 and 6 matchups, right? I'm looking at the Jags and the Bills on the AFC side, and then the Eagles and the 49ers on the NFC side. I think, obviously, when you look at the Eagles and Niners, we know what both those teams have done in the last few years, right? We know that the Eagles are coming off as, defending Super Bowl champs, of course, and all they were able to accomplish. A lot of people kind of saying, and, we've said this too on this podcast, they're not as good as they were last year. I think people agree with that, but kind of a team that has kind of been under the radar in a way, I think, coming into the playoffs against a team that has also, I think, been a little disrespected and under the radar in the 49ers. But I think that's going to be a really, really good matchup against, obviously, 2 really good quarterbacks, but also pretty good defenses, too, especially for the 49ers. So that'll be good to see how that pans out. And then, obviously, we talked a lot about the Bills, right? This seems to be the kind of playoff that sets up well for Buffalo to be able to make a deep run. And it starts with going on the road against Jacksonville, which is, I think this is a game that, Josh Allen should win, quite frankly. But like we talked about, Jacksonville has been just one of the best teams in the AFC this year. So I'm really excited to see that matchup. Obviously, you look at the 2 quarterbacks, and that's really what's going to be talked about in a lot of these matchups. But really excited to see Allen square off against Trevor Lawrence. I think that's going to be exciting. And, can Josh Allen, can he lead the Bills to a deep playoff run? I think that's really what I'm looking for is my overall headline in the playoffs this year, because most of these other teams are this is some new territory for them, right? Like Chicago, it's new territory. Pittsburgh stumbled into the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win, but obviously they have a veteran quarterback in Aaron Rodgers who's been there and done that, so it's kind of familiar for him. But a lot of these teams are kind of new to this whole experience. Obviously Carolina, I think it's over for them. They're not going to win in wild card weekend. I'll be very surprised if they do. But make sure we clip this in case I'm wrong.
Oh, great. Now the AI thing is going to clip this. Way to go.
You're welcome. But that's it. I think the 3 and 6 matchups in the first round are really what I'm excited to see most. But really, all these matchups to me are intriguing. I kind of want excited to see how Drake May does in his first playoff game as well. So that'll be good.
Yeah, I agree. The 3-6 matchups on both sides are super interesting. I mean, is this the year that Josh Allen finally does it? It's set up perfectly for him in terms of no Mahomes, no Lamar, no Burrow. It's now or never, right? Because the Kansas City Chiefs will be back eventually, right? It remains to be seen if it'll be next season. Next season might also be a down year just because we'll be transitioning a lot. Mahomes is coming back from the ACL. So who knows how Kansas City is going to look next year. Baltimore, it remains to be seen. Can they fix up the defense and the offensive line? Thing with the Cincinnati Bengals. Will, win, and will Joe Burrow get back into the dance? So a lot of the things that have been holding the Bills back
are out of the way.
So now it's like, dude, Josh, if it's not now, then when? You don't
it's now or never.
Yeah, frankly. You don't have anybody in your way. And then you kind of go down the rest of the, thing. Obviously, the 49ers and Eagles have a heated rivalry just because of what happened on Brock Purdy's first year, where on the first play he gets hit and, destroys his elbow, and they lose all their quarterbacks in that game, and Purdy has to eventually come back in and he can't throw. So the Eagles completely blow him out.
I forgot
the Eagles
about that. Wow.
are obviously the defending Super Bowl champions. And they did what San Francisco couldn't do in beating the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And the Eagles are obviously a highly disrespected team just because they haven't looked good. Yeah. So can they turn it on now? It's now or never. There's no tomorrow. So they have to get going, and they have the weapons to do it. It's just, has it already been baked in that this team just doesn't have it? And San Francisco obviously is dealing with a lot of injuries on their defense.
Yeah, good point.
And they step up in the biggest moment offensively and defensively to overcome going to Philly of all places. I think the Panthers-Rams matchup is going to be interesting because the Panthers did beat the Rams earlier this season.
Mm-hmm.
And when games in Carolina are weird, they've been super weird this year. I don't think LA will take them lightly given how they already experienced the loss against them in Carolina. So I think they're going to come in with their A game. But given how this season's gone, there's part of me that won't be surprised if somehow Carolina makes it to the championship game. I will be sorely disappointed if they do because they truly do not deserve to be in the playoffs. But if they make it in,
but they'll prove it if they make it. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be all right, okay, whatever.
Yeah, for real.
Green Bay, Chicago, that'll be an interesting matchup. We'll see.
I was gonna flag that as well. I think that's gonna be.
We'll
exciting.
see if we get the trilogy of iconic games because their two regular season games were a lot of fun.
So great.
For the first time ever. So we'll see if they make this interesting. Do you know that this is only the third time in the history of these two franchises that they've met in the playoffs?
That's crazy. All these years.
They did once in the 40s.
Wow.
They obviously did the championship game with Aaron Rodgers and Jay Cutler.
Right.
And then this one. All three games have been in Chicago, by the way. They've never played these games in Lambeau.
That's crazy too. Wow.
You look at Chargers, Patriots. Can Justin Herbert overcome the demons of, the playoffs? Obviously, losing that game to Jacksonville a couple years ago, and then last season, just getting completely, crushed by the Texans last year.
Yeah, good point.
Can they go into Foxborough and Gillette Stadium and overcome hot New England, the cold weather, and overcome the New England Patriots, who, this is their first time on this stage in a long time, and it's in prime time. It's a night game. Are the lights going to be too bright for Drake May? We'll see. And then, Houston, Pittsburgh, it's mostly like, can Houston get to Aaron Rodgers, or are the Steelers about to go on a little bit of a run here? I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl, but if they can't get to Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Rodgers can start getting going with DK Metcalf and they can kind of play how they played against the Ravens, I think the Texans are in trouble, because offensively, the Texans don't scare me. Defensively, they scare me.
Right.
But yeah, so that's the playoff bracket. So with that, we now move on to the pick'ems.
Oh boy, I don't want to see my record again.
Here we go.
Woo.
It's bad. it's really bad. So for those of you watching, this is the worst we've done ever in the pick'ems. We've never done worse. Even Kirby's worst year, which was 2023, his worst season, where at this point he was out, he was still doing better than what he was doing now. He had he was 2 games better. He had 60 wins at this point 2 years ago.
I'm 3 games above 500 here. What am I doing?
Yeah, Dan, you're struggling. So
anyway,
here's the standings. In first place is the secret picker at 65 and 42, holding a 6-game lead over your 3-time champion. They can essentially clinch it, but given their picks, they have 4 games different. So there's a possibility, if we go completely undefeated on the 4 different picks, we bring it to 2 games with 7 games to go, which brings it at a much more manageable level. And it will be one of the greatest comebacks that we've ever pulled off here on this podcast.
Yes.
So they are in first place. I am in second place at 59 and 48. Kirby is in third place at 58 and 49. And Dan is sitting squarely in the Kirby zone. Like I said, having one hell of a time down there at 55 and 52. Only 3 games above 500. I don't think we've ever had anybody finish the pick'ems with a losing record, but Dan is in contention for that.
Yeah.
So real quick,
talk about it. No questions,
before
please.
we get into our picks, I'm going to get into the secret pickers picks.
All right.
And let me pull them up really quick. The secret picker is going to go with the Panthers over the Rams.
Wow.
I don't know what I just did. There we go. Brought it back. The Panthers over the Rams. The Packers over... Oh, hold on. So, yeah, we're just picking all the playoff games. So, of course, here are the matchups. Carolina will take on the Los Angeles Rams in Carolina. Chicago will take on Green Bay in Chicago. Jacksonville will take on Buffalo in Jacksonville. Philadelphia will take on San Francisco and Philly. New England hosts the Chargers, and Pittsburgh hosts the Texans. So, with that, yeah, the secret picker is going with the Panthers, the Packers, the Bills, the 49ers, the Patriots, and the Steelers.
Oh, wow.
I will go next as your three-time Pick'ems champion, fighting for his life to get that 4th belt and to see retirement. Look, I asked for a challenge. This is the biggest challenge you guys could ever give me. So let's see if I can overcome
I haven't challenged you at all.
Yeah, but this secret picker is just whipping us right now.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. We gotta step up.
I'm losing by 10 games. That's crazy.
You are. I'm losing by 6. But it's okay. We can bring it back. And I can get to within 2, hopefully. So I'm going to take the Rams over the Panthers. I'm going to take the Bears over the Packers, the Bills over the Jags, the Eagles over the 49ers, the Patriots over the Chargers, and the Texans over the Steelers. Dan, do you want me to go over Kirby's picks real quick?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Kirby, I mean, if you're watching, you can see we all have the same picks. The 3 of us have the same picks. Only the secret picker has different picks. But Kirby's also going with the Rams, the Bears, the Bills, the Eagles, the Patriots, and the Texans. And with all that said, we will now throw this to this podcast's favorite number 2, soon to be the owner of the Kirby Zone, the Josh Allen to my Patrick Mahomes, my esteemed co-host, Dan Dembski.
Thank you, Carlos, and I'm a proud owner currently of the Kirby Zone, and I will keep the seat warm for him for next year because I'm sure he's going to need it again. With that said, as Carlos mentioned, we all have the same picks, but I will run through mine rather quickly. I'm going to take the Los Angeles Rams over the Carolina Panthers. I will pick the Chicago Bears over the Green Bay Packers. I will be taking the Buffalo Bills over the Jacksonville Jaguars. I will take the Philadelphia Eagles over the San Francisco 49ers. I will be picking the New England Patriots over the LA Chargers. And last but not least, I will take the Houston Texans over the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think most of our games we're picking the higher seed except, Pittsburgh?
Buffalo.
Right? Oh, Buffalo. Yeah. Pittsburgh.
Buffalo and Houston
Buffalo
are the lower seeds.
That's it, yeah.
And LA, technically.
Oh, yes. Yeah, true.
Technically. We know LA's technically the better team.
We know who the better team is, yeah.
Yeah. So, I'll go ahead and pull it up.
Oh, God.
Okay, so last year. This is last year's pick'ems for the 2024 NFL season. Going into wild card weekend. I was in first place at 75-33. Dan, you were in second place at 74-34. And Kirby was in last place, but still with us at 73-35. We were all one game out from each other.
Just pain doesn't even describe it. That's absurd.
Now, for the 2023 pick'ems, going into wild card weekend, Dan, you were in first place at 72-36. I was in second place at 71-37. And Kirby was in last place at 60-48.
That's the year he was really bad. And
that was the year he was really bad, and yet he was still doing better than what any of us are doing this year. Granted, technically speaking,
we got an extra game.
We are missing a game.
Yeah, we're missing a game.
And I'm technically at that record. Technically, but not actually.
Right.
So, look, the secret picker's kicking our butt. It's embarrassing. Hopefully I can save us or who knows? Maybe Kirby overlaps both of us because
could be.
Remember, Kirby's only one game behind me. So if I get 2 games, he's going to be 3 games within shot.
Mm-hmm.
There's a possibility Kirby can still take this thing.
Yeah.
But I think everybody's kind of putting their faith in me to beat this secret picker.
Well, I know realistically I'm pretty much out. I've dug myself too deep of a hole.
You're only 3 games behind Kirby.
Yeah, but I don't have any different picks than him.
Not this week, but we still got divisional, we still got conference, and we still got Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So there's time to kind of make a little bit difference, but
I could catch up to 3. Now, catching up to you is going to be a little harder.
I'm only 4. That might be a little harder. Catching up to the secret picker is going to be damn near impossible.
That's impossible.
Because we're 13 games. 6 are going away this week. You'll only have 6. Yeah, you're basically mathematically done after this week.
Catching up to the picker, especially the secret picker.
Yeah, even if we go completely undefeated, you're still going to be back by 6 games, but we only have 7 games left. So you're basically eliminated. But
I'm done.
It's coming down to it, dude.
Yeah.
I could very well be giving one of my the secret pickers already picked out which belt they want from me. Wow. That's how sure they are. Now they can have an epic collapse here. We're hoping for an epic collapse here so that we can make this a little more interesting here at the end. But yeah, this is the pick'ems. These are our picks. We will post these up on social media. Please interact with it. We understand that we're not giving away free pizzas this year. That's on Kirby, but please interact.
I love that little That little slap at the end, that was good.
Absolutely. Well, Dan, we did it.
We survived. We made
It
it
looks
through.
like we did about an hour and a half. So pretty good, tight show
It's
compared
typical.
to prior
Yeah.
shows.
Yeah, that is true.
And at least this time our microphones were working.
Yeah, we tested it first. They had.
Well, we're
Headphones
virtual
help.
again, so this time we can tell if somebody's microphone wasn't working.
Yeah, exactly.
Dan, any last thoughts?
No, Carlos, just want to thank you for your hosting duties. It was well done show today.
As
And
per usual,
we get to lay back.
we get to lay
And
back
enjoy the
now.
playoffs now, right? No stress. Stress
Yeah,
free.
we're still trying to figure out if we're live streaming during that.
Yeah, we'll talk off air
We'll
and
talk
see if we
about
can
that, but
figure it out.
I'm trying to find my list of sponsors and I can't find them. So we're just going to go off the cuff. All right. So we'd like to thank our sponsors, Frederick County Parks and Rec, PM Plus Reserves, Shenandoah Primitives, Icon Media and Icon Real Estate, Barrett Pest and Termite Services, Shenandoah Music, The Cider House, On the Road Driving School, Equipment Sharing by Barry Pearson. Call the number that I said earlier. This is a complete botch by me. My bad. New Look Landscaping. And of course, Don't Sleep Energy. Use promo code KOS Podcast for 12% off your order every single time.
Every single time. Yep, exactly.
For the weapon, Dan Dembski, I am your 3-time Pick'ems champion, Carlos the Swiss Army Knife Martinez. Kirby's a stooge. Let's freaking go, baby. We'll see you guys next week.